We're on live. I think we're on live. Let me double check. Is are on live? When we go on live, they have to listen to me sing?
I don't know. I think you're a good singer.
No, neither one of us can sing.
Especially when you're singing in the shower. You've got like.
What's that song you were singing yesterday that you were right in tune? It was great.
I have no idea.
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen very often.
Shannon can't sing. She can do practically everything else. We're in our new house in Calgary.
And it has been quite some time since we've been on here. Hi. Hopefully we'll have a couple people join us today. We're back in Alberta and we're finally quasi-settled. And so we just thought we'd like to connect. I know it's been a little bit longer than we wanted to, but we had to get so much stuff organized.
A lot of stuff.
Mainly computer set up. Your desk, so much stuff.
Well, if you saw the video today about Louis Shelton meeting and working with David Page, that's the new studio. So you can go back and look at that. Yes, I'm wearing a black t-shirt again, but I'm starting to pull out the shirts.
You are. That's right.
Yeah, and I need to shave. Oh my. What's going on?
Doesn't matter. We're here. We're together. We're
hanging out. If we're going to sit back, we can do this. Let's see, that's better.
That's perfect.
I got the bad body language, crossing my hands.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Alex.
Hey,
Kim.
Folks.
Hello from Boston. Dave, John ought to do a joint live stream with Rick Beato.
I don't think Rick knows who I am. I certainly know everyone knows who he is, but that we're not. We're kind of. I get compared to Rick, but and he does interviews, but I'm a musician. Yes, I do play drums, but I haven't played serious music in a lot of years. And even though I still can play, Rick is more of the musician type of sort of channel. And everyone always asks me, and my hair's sticking up. That's nice. Everyone always asks me if I watch his stuff. I don't watch anybody's stuff. I now and then with Rick, someone will send me something, and just to be nice, I'll watch it. Not because I don't like Rick's stuff. Rick is the best at all this, but I don't have time.
Al Broderick, hey guys, wow,
Hey.
Back in Cowtown. Yes, John at Village Advisory. Welcome to your new home, Shannon. John, thank you. As you can see beside us, there's no pictures up, so we're still like we're fresh here. Jane says. Hola from Costa Rica.
Oh, hola.
You have been missed. Carrie Crouch, hey, you two. Just flipped on YouTube and there you were. What a pleasant surprise. Gennaro, hello, Gennaro. Once again, hit that like button. Greetings from Montreal,
Thanks.
Quebec. And Sue Bailey, hi, Sue. Hi, John and Shan. Hope you're enjoying your new home.
We are in a house that's kind of perfect for us right now because of the situation. We moved back for family. We moved there for family.
Back for family.
And now we were more needed here. Very expensive lessons. Moving across the country.
Yeah, but we can't put a price on experiences, right?
Yeah,
that's our biggest
right
thing,
on.
right?
No, it was not like Shannon. Shannon suggested we move to out east because financially, it seemed like a good idea, and I hadn't been home since '79. I mean, I'd been home, I'd visited, and I did bring my wall, which is in the garage, which the movers couldn't. The door to the basement is right there where the studio is, and it's twisty, and my wall is basically sheetrock. So anyway.
Melody R. Hey from Saskatchewan. Hi, Melody.
Hi, Melody.
Rick May, welcome back. I mean, whacking back. Hit that like button, folks. Yeah.
Whack it. I you know what? Every Friday, either I would tell Shannon, I says, I'm just overwhelmed. I can't go on Friday Night Live, or else she'd be going. I'm just really, really tired because Shannon's working at her job again. They found out she was coming back to Calgary, and she said they offered her a job.
So happy to be back. John Adams, hi from CT. I'm thinking Connecticut.
Is it?
Well, anyways, hi,
Yeah.
John. Welcome aboard.
I think. Correct us if we're wrong.
Please.
I've been studying geography, North American geography, a lot. I mean, Canadian. I'm a Canadian, so I know Canadian geography quite well. But a lot of U.S. stuff. To the point where I have a blank map, and then you have to guess the state. All the Western states I know really well, and even Midwestern states, and all the coastal states I know really well. And in the middle, I'm ashamed to say some of them I didn't know, but I'm pretty good now. Pretty good now.
Dennis, hello, you two. Nice to hear from you from your side of the pond again. LOL. Alex Knight, nice to see you again.
Hey, Alex. Alex. I'm always love seeing the pictures of your family and your Easter get together.
Yeah.
I noticed. What a beautiful family, musical family. I was gonna say something, and you know how it is. It was there, and it was gone. It left the building. Yeah.
Mark Stone says, "Good morning from Melbourne,
Hey.
Australia." Hey, welcome.
The second part, Graham Goebel. Another part of that's going up. Speaking of Australia, and Shannon has a tendency to always buy us clothes, and she doesn't buy herself a lot of clothes. I mean, she has beautiful clothes for work, very, very nice. But today she went out and she pampered herself.
Got the nails done today.
And her feet. It was really nice. Good for you.
It was nice. It's kind of springtime. So
you haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, it's been quite some time.
So I always tell her, go. And then she'll go, oh, I'm thinking of buying this purse. I don't, but I probably won't. I always go, buy the purse. Not like we're rich or anything. We're certainly not rich.
Gennaro says, just bought 2 tickets to George Benson, who is coming to Montreal on June 29th.
I just saw that. Isn't he coming for the Jazz Festival? Isn't it part of the Jazz Fest? I saw the poster with so many names. Dinah Krall's on there. By the way, no, I've never talked to Dinah Krall, but as I promised a lot of you, I interviewed George Benson. Couldn't find the interview. I found it on a CDR. And I said, this CDR is like not going to work because they don't work after a couple of years, a few years, right? It worked. I was able to save the George Benson interview. Now, a lot of people say, when are you going to get these interviews up? I'm so far behind the current interviews, and I've got a whole series with Steve Burgess. Look up Steve Burgess. Steve used to be, like Steve before I met Shannon, Steve and I would see each other every day. And he laughed. One day, I think it was him or someone we knew figured out, he says, wait a minute. When you date a woman, you won't see her more than like 3 times a week because it's like that's your rule. But yet you see Steve every single day. We go for coffee or something. And I go, yeah, but Steve's different. I can just relate to Steve. Like the Mensa people used to follow him around in Brandon, Manitoba because he's such a smart guy. And he wrote for Maclean's. Anyway, Steve is a brilliant, brilliant journalist. Look him up. He wrote a book called Who Killed Mom? If you knew Steve, you'd understand. And anyway, he gave me hundreds of interviews, and we're going to start presenting those as well. He just sent me a bio a few days ago.
AZDH85224, hello from Chandler, Arizona.
Oh, your parents used to have a place in Chandler.
They did. Dave says hello from the Buckeye State, Ohio.
What's the name of the apartment building they used to?
I can't remember.
Mesa something.
Always enjoy your videos. Keep up the fine work, John and Shannon.
Thank you.
John at Village Advisory. Easy to remember the states and territories of Australia. LOL. Snowman. Hey, Snowman. Good evening, John and Shannon. Robert Wagner. What do you think about all these live shows being accused of voice tracks instead of live singing? Do you really think this happens a lot? Nice to see you back.
Thank you. I think that if, for instance, if I was going to go see Elton John, I found out some of it was recorded. I love Elton John so much. It depends upon the artist. I wouldn't care. I love if John Zaka and I were just talking. John Zaka is the guy who's doing the Bobby Kimball documentary. And of all the people I've interviewed, there's a few of them I would call friends because I talk to them when I'm not interviewing them, right? But John and I were just talking about Toto today because he's interviewed all the guys in Toto, Steve P., Steve Picaro, Luke, Steve Lukather, Joseph Williams, but he's interviewed them all and is still handling Bobby Kimball and producing him. But anyway, we were talking about the fact that, Toto seems to be one of those bands that just gets on there and does it. Just does it. And we were talking about how Steve Lukather, it's insane. how Steve Lukather comes up with those guitar licks. I don't know how he does it after all these years.
Dwayne Walatica, greetings from Edmonton. Hello, Dwayne. Gennaro, yes, part of the jazz festival. Denny says, halfway through typing comments, I forget what I wanted to comment.
Yes, welcome to my world.
Dwayne says, I did speak to Diana Krall after I saw her live.
Oh, cool.
Fraser J, hey guys, hope you are well
Hey,
and
Fraser
getting
J,
settling nicely.
you're a great drummer,
to your new
man.
home.
I saw your drumming video.
Hey, Fraser.
Yeah, you're a great drummer.
Very talented. And talented
Why did you say
and
it?
singer as well.
Why did you say I'm going to try to play drum? Come on, you're a great drummer. You're really good.
Gennaro says a big hello to Danica and Chase. Thank you. Danica's over here and Chase is at work tonight.
He works at Costco. He loves Costco. Oh my God. And we're in natural light here, which is great. All our houses have always been backyard south facing. And it's different. At first I went, oh, wow, we don't have direct sun and stuff. And then we realized, well, we get sun on the side of the house in the evening, which is when we'd entertain anyway.
Yeah, so it's north facing back. And of course, the front is south. So at least when we have a ton of snow, it melts first.
Yeah, our bedroom's in front. It's never been in front before.
Oh, hey, John and Shannon, have you seen the new Chicago movie yet? I quit collecting sports cards and collect vinyl now. I have 21 Chicago albums.
What Chicago movie?
Out of 43.
This is a Chicago movie?
The new yeah.
Like a documentary?
And that was Dragon fan Tim.
Oh, I don't know. By the way, speaking of Chicago, I still have some. I have a clip, and you'll see it coming up in the next little while. I think I'm going to call it the best rehab story. You've heard this story. The best rehab story that I've ever heard. Jason Sheff gave me like an amazing rehab story, just wow. And I've got a few wowza videos coming up. I haven't posted as much in the last little while because moving is incredibly stressful for me. It's just beyond words. Shannon's a doer. I'm not if Shannon was handling the channel, you would be getting 3 or 4 videos every single day because she's the one that used to do her homework on Friday night, not Sunday night. She's that type of person. Shannon's a files girl. She likes to close the file. I'm, on the other hand, if I don't work, the longer I don't work, the harder it is for me to get going.
But that being said, you've also, because you knew that we were doing this move in a year and a half to come back, you also did a lot of the prep work, and you did a lot of work ahead of time. So you were railroading to make sure that during the time when we had to make that transition, I mean, the transition was right down to getting proper Wi-Fi. I mean, we couldn't even go on.
I couldn't record my show in Vancouver.
We didn't have Wi-Fi. So
I couldn't record my show in Vancouver. I couldn't believe it.
It's not like we're sitting down here not coming on our show. We had technical difficulties, or there's certain nights where we just weren't home until there's just lots of stuff.
No, but overall, the biggest there's Danica. Danica, come and say hi. Our autistic wonder.
Say hi. Huh?
Oh, you gotta come.
Oh,
look at.
Say hi.
Say hi, Danica.
Okay, there you go. So funny. I don't know. She's sad.
She likes you guys.
Chris Snodgrass. Hey, John and Shannon. David Armburst. John, Shan, I love you guys. Hey, John, did you ever into Molly Hatchet?
Yeah,
I ran across the song "Satisfied Man" 1984, real gem, my opinion.
I was in a record store. I think I was in a record store, and I heard "Flirting with Disaster," y'all. And I remember thinking, wow, that sounds like Leonard's. That sounds like Skinner. And I went and I bought the album, and I enjoyed it. A lot of it had a very similar feel to it, but at the time I enjoyed them more than Leonard Skinner because I was never a huge Leonard Skinner fan. Sweet Home Alabama.
Max Mauser, sorry if I don't pronounce it right. Max Mauser, hi from Norway.
Hey. Hello.
Todd Gardner. I always enjoy the show. Todd from Florida.
You know what? We were planning on going to Florida because we were on the East Coast for a year and a half, and
we had plans. We
put all our money into the house. We're that type of people. If there's anything wrong, especially Shannon, if there's anything wrong with the house, it's got to get done.
Denny says I put solar panels in the windows on the south side of my house for an emergency electricity supply.
Oh wow.
So yeah, solar panels, that's a big thing too.
And Chase's old school has solar panels right on the outside for, oh my God, for I don't know how many yards.
Dragon fan Tim said the last band. It's about where they were the last band that played before the 2020 thing we had.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't know.
Rob F says hi Danica. Diana Harlan, howdy from the Music Live capital, Austin, Texas. Hey,
Austin,
Diana.
Texas. Never been to Texas. Came close, but never. Yeah, I used to drive before I met Shannon. I would just get in the car, and I would just take these long drives. I'd have 2 weeks vacation. I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. I might end up in L.A. And then I'd go to San Francisco. I'd go to Mount Shasta. Well, I'd obviously go from Vancouver, and just take the I-5 and just have a heck of a good time all the way down.
Hike with Mike. Hey, folks.
Hey,
Hey, Mike. Bob Perry. Hi. Going to see Cheap Trick Sunday. Front row as always.
wow,
Nice.
good for you. I've never
Yeah.
seen Cheap Trick. Have you? Have you seen them? They were
Nope.
your era as well. They were my era, and then they were her era. Because
Dragon fan Tim says, "Are you a fan of Pat Metheny? If so, what do you think the song as falls?
Wichita So Falls, Wichita Falls,
Yeah, means.
which
I've
means
been
I'm a
listening
fan
to-
if I can remember
I've been
that.
listening to it, and I'm stumped as to what it means.
I don't know, and I've never interviewed him. And I was a programmer for the NAC format, the Wave format, the Breeze format, the Quiet Storm format. So in '86, I was still syndicating a rock show in an AC version of the show called the Cross Canada Report, and I stumbled into programming. You look like you're looking right through the camera.
Oh, sorry, no,
You're getting tired. Oh no. I was programming. She's heard this story so many times. She's probably bored silly, but I was programming NAC and New Adult Contemporary, and I started playing like all the Windham Hill stuff, Narada stuff, out of Milwaukee, a higher octave, Andreas Vollenweider, and yes, that's how you say it. Plus American Gramophone, the Czech Field guys, I interviewed them, and Chip Davis interviewed him. Michael Hedges, may he, wherever Michael is, interviewed him twice. He asked me during the interview, I'm pretty sure the tape was rolling when he asked me. He asked me a few times. And I was here in Calgary for an evening of Windham Hill, but I lived in Edmonton. So I programmed 42 hours of NAC a week in between 1987, it might have been 86, to 89. And then I did it for Chum in Vancouver, and I still have that job, but we don't program NAC anymore. So I don't know what that's about. I almost interviewed Lyle Mays, another one that's left us. But I interviewed so many new agey, contemporary jazz, fusion jazz. And I used to like ECM. That's why they picked me to do the ECM was sort of like a spacey jazz, experimental jazz, great label. Still, if you don't know ECM, just look them up on Spotify or whatever streaming service you have. So, was it Follow Me? What's the name of that song I like so much? I can't play it because it'll be copyright. To me, for whatever reason, that's my theme song by Pat Metheny. I'll look it up and I'll tell you in a second. Sorry, Shan, you go ahead.
Snowman says, I saw Lynyrd Skynyrd last July in Atlantic City, and Gary Rossington played the last two songs, Sweet Home Alabama and Free
Bird. And we just lost him. Yeah, I did an obit for him. I remember I bought the Rossington Collins Band's first album. They had a few, didn't they? I think they had two. I don't remember. But I bought their first album. Got it from Kendall, my old roommate. He didn't like it. I think it was Kendall. He didn't like it, and I bought it from him. So there you go. You playing footsies with me? Because that's a great idea. What?
Bob Perry, I'm just wondering how many shows do you think you guys have been to? I think I'm around 500.
Nowhere near.
Whoa, Bob, nowhere near. Not for me either.
Nowhere near. We want to go Tears for Fears, but they're not coming here.
Actually, I'm just curious to know, for everybody online, how many shows have you seen? Like I can, you can count how many shows have you been to maybe?
Well, it's in the hundreds for sure, but but if you count shows that I've emceed, because I'm a DJ, right? So for the last 40 years, going on oh my God, next month it'll be 40 years. It'll be actually 40 years in the beginning of May.
Wow.
I always say on my 40th year because we're always trying to cheat, right? Radio guys.
Dave says, would you ever interview Chubby Checker? Is it possible? Curious to know why Chubby's 1982 album, The
Isn't
Change
Chubby
Has
Checker
Come,
dead?
was included
Oh,
the
no,
minor
he's
rock
not.
radio hit Harder Than
Okay.
Diamond
No, it's Fats Domino.
has never been on CD.
How old is Chubby Checker? I thought he was dead. 81. I didn't know.
So anyways, Dave would like to know why the minor rock radio hit Harder Than Diamond has never been on CD.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about Chubby Checker. I used to play some of his music when I worked for, there's this a classic Canadian Vancouver radio station called 14 Seafun. And I was actually the last DJ to play music before they switched format. So I broke the station. I must have. But anyway, that's my claim to fame. I was the last DJ to play music on 14 Seafun. It's strange. And at the time, I was on 14 Seafun and on QMFM at the same time. And no one ever noticed. No one ever said, how can you be on two stations at the same time? Because I was voice tracked on one. But no one ever said, because, I don't know, there's yeah, it's him again. What's that thing we always say? I've been listening to you for 40 years and I still hate you. Keep listening.
Hike with Mike says, I had the first Rossington Collins album back in 1980. I dug it. They had a hit in Florida with the song Don't Misunderstand Me.
Oh, I don't know if that album had a national hit, but there was a lot of regional hits back then. There still are, but not as much now because radio stations usually program nationally now.
Hayes Anderson, do small amateur bands at crude clubs count?
I see. That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking because we've seen.
Yeah,
did you see the Proclaimers in the club?
I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm in my
mind. Did you have to walk 500 miles to get there?
No. In my mind, I'm thinking big events that I've been to, but there's so many, smaller venues for sure. Dave says, Rossington Collins Band had 2 albums. Gary Rossington had one solo album under the name Rossington Band, and Alan Collins had one with Alan Collins Band.
Why is she going upstairs?
I don't know, maybe to use the
No, we have to be careful because... Sorry, guys. Our daughter has seizures, so we have to keep an eye on her.
Okay. She's hanging out.
Hi, love you.
Okay, she's good. Sorry.
We're back.
And this is how it goes.
This is our life. Danica can never be left alone, like ever. And that's just who she is.
Dragon fan Tim says, John, I messaged you on Facebook with the trailer of the new Chicago movie.
Oh, thank you.
Sean Defoe says, enjoying your channel. Greetings from Canada. Hi, Sean.
Well, we're in Canada. We're in Calgary. So where are you in Canada?
Diana Harlan. Y'all need to interview Steve Howe and John Anderson. We don't get to hear much about Yes these days.
Well, I interviewed John Anderson already. I interviewed Bill Bruford and Alan White. Alan's voice was very old, and I don't mean disrespect when I say that, but we all, and I've said this on the channel many times, some people when they get older, they sound old. There's a DJ on Sirius doing classic rock right now, and he or she sounds old. He or she did not sound old, I'm sure, before, because young people usually don't sound, but they kind of have and that's okay, because the knowledge, listen, I'm an old guy, but I still have a very youthful voice because that's just the way I'm wired. And you can't help if you sound old, but Alan was talking like this a lot. And so I had to just put the, I had to write out everything so people could understand what he was saying. And when Alan died, we rebroadcast it. Bill Bruford, I got a little nervous talking to him. I don't know why. I never get nervous during interviews. And I've said this on the channel before, but for whatever reason, I was just a little nervous. And at the end, he says, okay, that's good now. That's enough. And
it's like, oh.
But he was very nice about it. And
Was it just kind of abrupt? That's it. We're done.
not a little bit, but he was nice about it. He says, "Sorry, I'm getting a little tired," and or something. I forget what he said. But he was answering the same questions all the time, and I try to mix things up, but you still have to ask. Here's what we always say. I always say this to artists. I know you've said this 1,000 times, but I don't own those interviews, so I need to hear it from you. And almost everyone's nice about it. I'll take that out of the interview because people say, "Why are you chopping up interviews?" I said, because there's a lot of off-the-cuff stuff that I can't include on there, or else off-the-record stuff. I just did an interview today with a Canadian musician. I won't mention him, but there was so much off-the-record stuff. It was ridiculous because of just people we both know, and some people that are not so nice, and others that are just contrary in general. I don't know.
Sean Defoe says, I'm in Burlington, Ontario.
Oh, cool.
From.
Well, see, I did the Canadian Smooth Jazz Awards with the Kirk, Mary and Doug Kirk in Burlington. So they owned the Wave. I think they're streaming now. I don't know. I haven't talked to them in years.
Hike with Mike.
That wasn't a good parting.
Hike with Mike says, I miss the old days when TV shows had theme songs and many became top 10 hits.
Yeah, that's true, eh? Yeah, Mike Post. God, he had a lot. I used to like the theme to Hill Street Blues.
Fraser J. John, how long before the new drum room is ready and ready for your interviews? P.S. I packed in drumming a while ago now.
Oh, well, you're really good.
Yeah.
You're way better drummer than me. You won't be able to see it in the interviews because, like I said, I did my first interview downstairs. I interviewed Mark Farner upstairs, which has another big window like this. But I did my first one today, and so you won't see it. You probably won't see the drums. Right now, there's two huge amplifiers because Chase is playing with this bass player who puts his bass up so loud.
I think the whole house shook.
The whole house was shaking, not from Chase's drums. He's got the 7-piece Pearl kit, but he only uses 5-piece now. And
I just can't imagine what our new neighbors must think of us.
I wonder
with their whole house just shaking. It's just,
I wonder. We met a few of our neighbors. They all seem really nice.
Loggy Doggy. Both Bill and John were great interviews. Thank you. Hello from Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, Louisville. The Yes guys are just really, really cool. I'd love to interview Steve Howe. I interviewed his son, Dylan Howe, when Dylan was doing his Berlin era tribute album for Bowie a few years ago. This channel wasn't existing then. If you look up John Beaudin, Dylan Howe, you'll find it on YouTube. Rob
F. said, I've been watching a lot of Louis Sheldon videos lately. Just noticed that you have a new one. Can't wait to watch it. Louis is brilliant.
The other ones are on Phil Spector, John Lennon, Phil Spector. Oh God, my mind just went. I just put them together. I just put them on our Patreon. They're all available on Patreon right now. And we're reloading Patreon because of the move, it's just been too stressful. So now we're going to make up for lost time for people who join Patreon because I've got so many interviews in the bag. It's insane. I was lying in bed the other night thinking, do I have enough years left to put all these interviews up? And Shannon says, don't say that. That makes me sad. But we've got 350 interviews that we had to put from reel to reel to, God, it felt like 1,000 pounds of reel to reel tapes. And some guy just bought them for $300. I had to erase them, but he bought them.
Hayes Anderson says, I refuse to stop drumming.
Okay.
And Marilyn Morrison, have you ever interviewed John Payne of Asia?
No, I ran into when John Wetton was dying. Lisa, his widow, they had seen the video when I said, John, you just fight this. We're all rooting for you. And I didn't know at the time that he had a few days to live. But Lisa was very nice about it. That's how I got to know her. And she reached out and she said, I'd share it, but unfortunately, because contractual things, some of the Asia albums are on there, that you have on there have John Payne on them. Because when I do a band, I usually just do the band. So John Payne has his own version of Asia, right? And he was a singer after John Wetton. So that's what happened there. I don't know. I'm sharing that story, but yeah. No, I never interviewed.
Gennaro says, have you been following Canada's Got Talent?
No.
Because he's saying there was a performer on there. She's a manager and performed last week in Montreal. Her name is Samantha Pearson.
Oh, okay. We can look her up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Dan Harlan saw Steve Howe here in Austin on 6th Street in a small bar called Babe Stage Side that no longer exists. He was incredible.
Such a great guitarist. Crazy. But, that band I always worry about Phil Collins, speaking of prog bands. And Genesis is finished, but I always worry about Steve, because he's looked very frail the last few years, very, very, very. Alan White looked. There was a picture with him and Michael Desrosiers from Heart, and he looked really ill. Alan White before he died. Yeah, but that's what happens. People look like that before they die, right?
Benjamin, when and why did you move back to Calgary?
Family.
And we moved away and came back. Hike with Mike. Good to see you guys back online on Friday nights. Thanks, Mike.
And
you're always great for giving us subjects we can talk about, topics. Yeah, you've been really great for those.
A lot of times we think of coming on at the last minute, but some of the topics that we've been given or even have thought of ourselves includes us doing a lot of research, because if we're doing it off the cuff, we're not ready. So what I've decided to do is we're going to start doing the Today in History thing again on Rock History book. But I have to have my wits about me to do that, because it takes a lot of research. And once you get going with research, it's great, but it's a lot of work. And you've got to have your guns ablazing. I made some mistakes on a Leonard Skinner, because I'm not the biggest Leonard Skinner fan, and they let me have it. But of course, why shouldn't they? Because you can't talk about someone's band and not have your ducks in order. You can't. And again, most people who do what I do, we all do research. We have to do research. I can come on here and talk about rock and roll with the best of them, sure, because I'm a radio announcer. That's what I do. But to really do like dates and members and when members left, you've got to be ready.
Loggy Doggy, really enjoy the Rich Williams interviews, but I have a question. Mm-hmm. Is he in a chair or laying on the bed?
He's laying in the bed.
My wife and I wonder.
He's laying on his bed. And his wife is there as well. I don't know if she appears she doesn't appear. I never saw her. But his wife is in the background. At one point, I'd say, I forget her name. I'd say, is she listening to this? Because I want her to hear the Ian Anderson tampon story when Ian, because I knew she was roaming around, and she's really funny. She's a really cool gal. I wish I could have seen her. But I said, is she there? And he says, yeah, she's sitting over there. I said, okay, I want you to listen to this. And I told her Ian Anderson, the crazy fan story, which Rich gave me a crazy fan story, and a couple of them. And if you haven't heard it, it's Ian gets hit with something, and he looks down, and there's blood on his shirt or T-shirt or whatever. And he thinks, oh, God, I've been shot. But then he looks down, and there's a used tampon on the floor. Someone threw that at him. Best fan story I've ever heard. It's ridiculous.
Oh, my God.
But every time I ask that story, give me a fan story, I'll always preface it by giving the Ian Anderson story. Everyone loves hearing it. All artists I talk to, they go, what? Yep. It happened, and it happened to Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull.
Oh, Hayes Anderson, yes, welcome back. I hope the move was painless and you find everything you packed. That's about it, and we're still going through boxes, not finding stuff.
What's Danica looking for?
Danica's looking for her LG remote for her VHS.
For a TV. Oh, for the TV.
TV, and and John has like 20,000 remotes in a pile downstairs.
I have a whole bunch of remotes because Danica insists on watching VHS movies at 11 a.m. for a couple hours every day. And she insists, I've transferred them high quality to way better quality. to digital. She doesn't want that.
Nope, we're trying. Uh, Dave. Dave says, happy belated spring. Summer will be here in 2 more months.
Yay!
Yacht rock will again be heard at restaurants and bars near the beach or marina. What's your favorite yacht rock artists and/or songs?
Well, I hate the term, but it's here to stay. Steve Lukather and I had very early on a few years ago. I think it might have been at that time. I'm interviewing him again in a few weeks. I think that'll be interview 5. But I told him, I said, I don't like the term. He said, well, I'm not crazy about it. But he said, but it's here to stay. And that's the term. We used to call it the LA sound. You know, LA, that's what we called that stuff. Favorite? I don't know. You like Christopher Cross?
I do.
Yeah. Michael McDonald?
Snowman, do you think Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson will ever play together again?
Well, I recently interviewed Andy Curran, who worked as an A&R guy for Anthem Records. And he said that he had told me before that for sure they will, and they got on stage together. I forget what that was. And I asked him again, and he said, well, Geddy, of course, has got his book, which is coming out real soon. I'm going to do everything I can to get Geddy Lee on our channel. Like everything. Pull out. I mean, I'm sure Andy will help me. Andy's actually very close to Alex Lifeson. And Alex, I think he said he's taken up golf. And they're enjoying their off time. So he wasn't as enthusiastic, but he says as a fan. And Andy Curran is also the bass player and one of the chief songwriters in Coney Hatch. So he says, as a fan, I hope so, but I don't know. He wasn't as optimistic as he was the last time I talked to him. And I've talked to Andy 3 times. Actually, Andy Curran was the guy who sent Chase, our son, who was a little drum prodigy when he was 8, concert used sticks or practice used sticks, I don't know, from Neil Peart. And he still has them framed downstairs. And he's that type of guy. And he's one of the nicest human beings I've ever interviewed in my life. One of the nicest men out there, period.
Kim Trickle, I've missed you guys.
Hey, Kim!
I'm going to see Peter Frampton in June.
Oh, my God. Good for you.
Nice.
That will be really good. I was just listening to the first song on Frampton Comes Alive, Something's Happening. God, I love that song so much.
Jim Woods, what I like about your videos, John, you seem to be trusted by so many musicians. They obviously respect you, and it shows in your interviews. So insightful.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't think I'd do them if I was the nervous guy I was. You will notice with the old interviews that I can't shut up. But I know that's a trait of young broadcasters. But it's excruciatingly painful for me to listen to an old interview of mine where someone could have just told me, when I'm interviewing someone in person, just nod. Notice I do that. Notice anyone who's been doing it a while, they all do that. They nod. And then they'll say something like they'll have an aha moment. And I'll go like this. There you go. Sorry, Shannon. You know what? I do that. And I still see people on YouTube, and they're not young, but they're not broadcasters, where someone didn't say, nod. Stop saying, really? Oh, wow. Oh, it's okay. Daddy's not mad.
Happy.
By the way, that's another great thing about Danica. I cannot shout. It's okay. It's okay. I cannot shout at anybody in the car. It upsets her because she's autistic and she's very sensitive. Shannon and I, we've learned if we argue, we argue in a very pleasant tone.
Yes.
Isn't it weird, eh? The life we live.
It's all inflection.
It's all inflection, right?
That's it.
Cadence. Oh, it's like crazy. So it's hard for her, but it's good for us in that way that we've learned that there's no.
And even if we just go an octave higher in our voice, and sometimes we aren't even, we're just excited or whatever, even that does it too. Yeah. So it's just a change in that for sure.
You can tell I've been getting sun. I walk the dog once, sometimes twice a day. And Shannon, reason
you actually look like you're listening.
Not only because she's 11 years younger than me, but also she's not a sun worshiper, and I love the sun. And she's got great genetics. Her parents, it's amazing how young your parents look.
They look pretty.
Dennis and Bonnie, they
look
rock.
Pretty darn
Dennis
young.
and Bonnie, you rock.
As DH85224, you two are a great couple.
Thank you.
And you are lucky to have each other. Thank you. Hey, Record Hound, great to see you both again. Slight name change, drop the initials. Yeah, that's right. Rick May, now that you're back on the show, the whacking can officially start. Keep hitting that like button.
Whacking the like button.
Please hit the like button.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alex and Getty played together at the Taylor Hawkins tribute concert.
That's right.
Ben said that.
That's right. I don't know if they'll ever... Andy Curran did point out something interesting. The 50th anniversary of Rush is coming up next year. 50th anniversary. He says if anything would happen, it's going to be that. Even though they can't call it Rush, but it's the Rush 50th anniversary. So maybe they're bound to do something. I think. But hopefully I can get Getty on here. I'd love to get Alex. I should. I don't like to put people in bad positions of going, oh, can I have an interview with your friend? But Andy, I might ask.
Marg Zappa Sodi. 1 week ago at this time, I was in Atlantic City watching Mickey Dolenz in concert.
Oh, wow. I'd love to get Last Monkey Alive. I'd love to get him. When Davy Jones... when he died, I mistakenly called him the lead singer, even though really Mickey sang more songs. And but sometimes when you do things off the cuff, you get oops. And I called Dave Patton in a tribute video this week.
Oh my God, you sound like me.
Uh-oh. But it happens when you're doing things off the cuff, you forget, oh, right, I used to say it that way, but it's not right when you haven't said the person. And I was talking to Dave before we left. We were going to set up an interview, and then I had to reschedule a few times, and he said, why don't you get settled in? Because he has a new book out, and then we'll talk after that. So he's coming on our channel, too, from Pilot, by the way, and the Alan Parsons Project.
Hayes Anderson, have you ever heard of the prog band Ozric Tentacles?
Oh, yeah.
They started in the mid-'80s in England and have over 30 albums, but never signed to a major label.
What's the name of the engineer that we had? There was an engineer, the really good-looking guy from The Breeze. He was, anyway, remember he came up to our house, had a few beers, a few nights. Really nice guy. He introduced me to the band. Yeah.
Denny, I think the vast availability of media on the internet has greatly reduced the attention span of people.
I think so. Yeah.
Agreed.
Sometimes I'll talk to Shannon. I'll say, honey, I just cut off my own head. How to get it back on? She'll go, ha, 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 ha. Oh. Can you come up with a better line than that?
No, it's like, I cut off my arm.
Yeah.
And I'm just like...
Yeah. She always goes, come on, you're better than that. You can give me a better insult than that. Well, wake up call. Are we good? Are we?
We're all caught up. Yes.
Wow, you're on it today.
I'm trying.
Jeez.
I've got it far away enough so I don't have to wear glasses.
You can do that? I could never see that.
But I have to
I can't even read a word out of that.
I can see far up close up now as well.
Yeah. Oh, look, there's some bikers. We have an apartment building right behind us, and there's bikers going. They're going through the yards. People's yards.
So here we are now in April. What are people going away for the summertime?
Yeah. What are your plans?
Yeah. What are your plans? We're probably not. Well, we might go to BC.
Maybe
a little bit of a trip.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're just gonna. I'm kind of done traveling.
We just bought a house, man.
Kind
we're
of
not going nowhere.
traveling for a while.
Yeah, BC would be the place because her parents have a place there. And Shannon grew up there. She was born here, but then grew up in Penticton, BC, and I grew up I was born in Montreal. I grew up in New Brunswick, and moved to Edmonton when I was 19 years old in 1979, when Shannon was 9 years old.
Hike with Mike. A lot of times when you do things off the cuff, it turns out great. There's a Zen-like vibe when you do stuff off the cuff, and it makes things feel more raw and real.
I think it's better, thank you for saying that. I think it's better because when I do my intros and extras, there's always a part of that's like a little radio guy-ish. But it's accepted because a lot of people do that on the internet, of course. But yeah, off the cuff is a lot better. But that's why the other channel, well, when someone passes away or a major news breaks, we're going to start doing that again on this channel. But I just had to get my wits about me. It was just, this move has been really difficult for me to sort of, like, I don't know if you're like this, but, and Shannon knows I'm like this. I'll go from room to room going, oh, I live here now. Okay. I don't say that, but that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm like going around going, okay, I've got to get used to, this is my house now. Yeah.
The difference is I'll go around and I'll say, okay, this needs to go here, here, here. We need to do this, this, and this. And it's not that you don't get to that too, but you're like,
no, I don't.
You have to think about it for a bit, what you're going to do. Just let it kind of set it. Meanwhile, I've done 50 things while you're thinking about how to, and they're usually very important things you have to navigate through, but you like to kind of ponder on it. I'm just like, let's just get it done.
Shannon is such a doer.
Railroad.
And
that's the difference.
And it drives me crazy sometimes, but I always tell her several times every day. Well, I tell her she's beautiful several times every day, but I also tell her I just so admire the fact that you can get things done. We would make 10 times more money on this channel if Shannon was running things, but and I always tell her that, and she always goes, "You don't want me running things," and I'm going, "Yeah, pretty much." Not that she would come on.
Yeah,
I still want to get her on.
But you're doing well.
No, well, we're getting back on track. So the Rock History book are Today in History, even though we never say it's Today in History. We because if you say that, the second someone starts watching it on the wrong date, it's not that date, they'll go, well, that's not, why do I want to know that? So if you make a big deal about Today in History, we did that and we got like 200 hits. But then if we said, you wouldn't believe what this guitarist did to blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, we'll say it happened on June 25th. But we won't say today. Because in broadcasting, you learn lessons like saying, don't date things that you do. You try to stay evergreen as possible, right? Because if you don't live with them, don't live with the audience, they'll scatter.
Dave Meister, I'm a huge Rush fan. Always wanted to know why Rush and fellow Canadian power rock trio Triumph never toured together. Was there a feud between the two bands back in the day?
No. Rick Emmett, last few times I've talked to Rick, and I've talked to him more than most people, because when he was doing jazz, I was doing jazz on radio. So I got to know him a little bit. And I hadn't talked to him in like 6 years at one point, and then I just did like 3-4 interviews with him. But the first time he got on, he says, "John, you look old." But he knew he could say that to me, right? And he said, "Where the heck have you been?" And I said, "Well, I've been doing YouTube." He said, "Yes, a few people have told me you're doing really well on YouTube." Rick told me that he had gone to some games, some baseball games with, is it Alex or Getty? Who's the big baseball fan? They also share, one of them shares kids that are on the same baseball team or something. I forget what he told me. But there's no animosity there, as far as I know.
Snowman, have you ever seen the tribute band Get the Lead Out?
No.
I
don't see a lot of tribute bands.
Diana says it feels surreal till you've lived there a while.
Lived where?
I don't. She must have just chimed in on something else.
Oh, you mean maybe here? I don't know.
Hay says very important to visualize. Jeff Brush, hi guys, welcome back. Good to see.
Thank you.
Got to see your friend Luke last month in Windsor for their full show. Was awesome. The newer guys were outstanding. They're
a great band. I know like people like the original, and they like Steve Porcaro back in the band. I don't think that'll happen, but Steve's working on some new stuff. I've got to reach out to him in the next few days, and because I know he just did an interview that's on Facebook and on YouTube, I think, or might be a podcast. John Zake and I were talking about Steve Porcaro today, and I was asking John about the houses. So he'd say, because he had to go to Luke's place, and he had to go to David Page's place and Steve Porcaro's place. And I was asking him, what's their place like? Like, because I've seen the inside of each one of their houses, but just when I did an interview. And Steve Porcaro, who I'd say I'm a little closer to, uh, he showed me around the studio just for me to see, right? And Steve really likes you. He always says, "Say hi to Shannon." Every time, say hi to Shannon. Well, you interviewed him with me.
I did.
Friday Night Live, yeah.
Hike with Mike. Geddy Lee is a big Toronto Blue Jays fan.
There you go.
I have seen him in is it Dunedin, Florida, my hometown. Watched the Blue Jays in spring training games at Grand Stadium.
Oh, I don't know how to say that. Yeah, I know he went to a game together, but there's nothing. Sometimes it's just happenstance. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, right? But yeah, two great trios, and oh man, it's insane. Where are we at? Ooh, we're almost.
But apparently Geddy loves baseball and he collects baseballs.
Does he? Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, I was going to ask Andy when I talked to him, are you in Geddy's autobiography? You must be in there someplace because you've known the guys for so many years. And Andy Curran's also releasing his first solo album, the 30th anniversary of it. It's a box set. He's found all this stuff, got a lot of it from Anthem Records. They said, go ahead, just please, go for it.
Thanks, Hike with Mike. It's pronounced Dunedin.
Oh, I did not know that.
Me neither.
I get to know cities. You know how much crime shows. I'm always watching crime shows.
Like so many crime shows.
I'm watching Who the Bleep Did I Marry? It's on Amazon right now. Watch that. It's really, really good. And I always get to know how to pronounce certain cities. I'll go, oh, I didn't know you said like Roanoke. Maybe I only knew how to say Roanoke maybe 15 years ago. And I saw it on TV. I said, oh, I've been saying it wrong in my head all this time. But there's just certain cities that don't sound like, and there you go. That's interesting, John Beaudin. You got to get out in the sun a little bit. That's why she looks so young. Also the fact that, you have a better lifestyle than I do. You really take care. You take off your makeup every night. Moisturize.
That's right.
She's very
trying to get you into moisturizing.
Thanks, honey. I will.
Snowman. Good night, John and Shannon. May God bless your family. Thanks, Snowman. Nice to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Nice to get reconnected with everyone again, for sure. It's been a...
Yeah, we went on a little early, so we're going to go off a little early. We just got a little bit of shopping to do before we settle in and possibly watch a movie. Yeah.
But one thing for sure is we are going to come back on Friday nights now. So we come on in Calgary here at 7.
We're a little late tonight. We should come on, based on the mountain time, we should come on at 5.
Oh, okay. So we're like a couple hours late then.
Yeah.
Okay.
If everyone is okay with that, we should come on a few hours.
What do you guys
before.
prefer?
Yeah.
I mean, I know because we're now on the time change and we're here.
Yeah, they're kind of right there. We should ask you, right?
So
now that you're here.
Now that you're here, what do you prefer? Is 7 o'clock our time fine, or would you rather we come on 2 hours earlier?
Yeah.
Because we're flexible on Friday afternoon.
Yeah, because she's off.
Mm-hmm.
So she's usually working till 8, and I miss her a lot. It's just me and Danica because Chase works. He works the evening shift at Costco and loves it. My God, he loves Costco so much. Just loves it.
Oh.
Loves the people he works with.
Mm-hmm.
Love the people he worked with in Moncton. Got a transfer here because he's such a good worker. Got a high standard. He just does. Learned a lot of that from his mom. And he says, he's so cute. So I'm just I want a relationship like you guys have. He always says that. And that's the nicest compliment you can get from your son.
Huge.
So I want to love someone as much as you love mom. Like what? Go at her, buddy. Go get her. She's out there someplace.
Jeff says, I've booked a trip to your area for September, staying in Canmore and visiting Banff and Lake Louise. Very excited.
Who?
Jeff Brush.
Oh, cool. If you come into Calgary, get a hold of us. We'll go for coffee.
Hike with Mike says 8 p.m. Eastern Standard.
8 p.m. Eastern. Okay. So that's what we used to do we were Atlantic.
That's right.
We were Atlantic.
So you figured out time zone, man.
2 hours. It's 2 hours difference.
So.
I do a lot of interviews with Toronto people.
Does that make it 5 then? If it's 2 hours?
No, 2, 6.
Oh, 6 is good.
Yeah.
Um,
He's 6 here, yeah. I always get confused because I record a show for Vancouver 5 nights a week. I have to go do that after. What?
Jerry C. Now, do you have time to watch a movie, or are you moving again?
We deserve that.
That's
Yeah. We're
funny.
never. I never want to move. You never say never for your forever home because you never know. I used to work with when I was a program director here in Calgary for a radio station. My general manager, Stephen Peck, got his forever home in Ontario on one of the Great Lakes. And he and his wife, they said they would never move. That was it. He'd done really well. He's a good radio guy, good salesperson. Said he'd never move, and all of a sudden got the opportunity to be a general manager here in Calgary. And he hired me and as a program director. And he always kept saying, I can't believe we moved out of that. We put everything we had into that home. And he moved away. I think he's still here. I don't know.
Todd Garland says, I like your videos, John. Glad to finally catch you live.
Well, thanks. It's fun doing things live. Now and then we'll get the fraudster guys who come on and they'll post, XXX stuff or whatever. But for the most part, we're good.
Ben wants to know any updates regarding Danny.
Danny Seraphin?
Yeah, interview.
I reached out to him. I think I told you guys after that first Chicago documentary, and I said, "Do you want to respond to this?" We were a pretty big channel at the time. Even then, we were at 50,000 subscribers. We're at 110 now, 112, I think. And his manager told him, "Maybe not right now. Let me just sit on it for a little while." I never followed up, so I'll follow up. I know how to get a hold of him. So, yeah, thank you.
Jerry C says, always wish you both the very best. Always love the content, John.
Thank you. Appreciate that. No, we love you guys. It means an awful lot to us. To go on, I'm always reading about things, and you were just telling me the other day, things about, people who do internet anything, and they're either being bullied or they're flaunting. That girl on TikTok just flaunted. I don't know if you see that one. She just got a new house, and she bought it cash or paid off her mortgage or whatever. And it sounded like she was flaunting her house, right? And people are having a hard time. And she wasn't trying to do that. I mean, she's, I think, a little younger. Oh, yeah, she's in her early 20s. So you got to watch what you say sometimes, right? When we got insurance for our house, they said, you need insurance for what you're doing in your house. I said, what do you mean? What am I doing in my house? They said, well, you're an influencer, they called it.
So media insurance.
So I had to get media insurance. And I said, no, I've been a radio announcer for 40 years. I know what to say. I'm not going to get sued. And she says, well, yeah, probably. But we're worried about the other guys, frivolous lawsuits for nothing. And she said, you need to get insurance. And I went, oh, okay, I guess I do. Sure.
Well, it's just always good to be
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff says, yes, coming into Calgary. If we have time and wife says it's okay, we'll definitely grab a coffee with you. Thanks. Yeah. That'd be nice.
Sure, make time.
Steve Sheldon, why did Keith Howland, the former Chicago guitarist, leave the band? Love the show.
Oh, and someone was just telling me because isn't he touring with Jeff Coffey now? Is he? I'm asking myself, is he, John? I don't know. What do you think? I think he is, or was planning on doing it. I was just going to talk to Jeff Coffey just before I left Moncton, but I got so incredibly busy and lost track of it. And Jeff sent me his album. I should catch up with him because he and his wife are just the nicest people. Really, really good, decent people. Okay.
Dave says, what's your opinion of modern blues rock singer-songwriter Grace Potter and her band, the Nocturnals? Are you familiar with her signature hit, Paris?
I don't know if it's the same person I'm thinking about because I'm really on a kick of new music. I'm really love it. Shannon listens to the what's it called, Coffee House?
I do.
On XM, and I'm discovering so many great artists on there that it's crazy. And even poppy artists that I'm not crazy about doing acoustic renditions of their songs, and I don't like the term. I don't like when people say, because it's one of those things you say and you get a lot of people going on the bandwagon. Yeah. That new music sucks. I I don't think it's as good as the music I grew up with, but I'd never say it sucks. And I'm discovering new stuff all the time. So, but having said that, I need to record my show, which is another reason we have to do this.
And we want to thank you.
Yeah.
For being on with us tonight. It's been a while, but we're so happy to be back. Hey.
No, I was going to say something and I can't say that because I just can't say it. Shannon will give me one of these after. She's always like, not tonight. Today I've been good today, but she always says, don't say too much personal stuff and just stick to music. And I'm going, okay, honey, I'll be good. I'll be good. So I'm not going to say what I was going to say. It wasn't anything. It doesn't really matter. But
thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll
so
be back
nice
on
to
Friday.
Connect with you. And yeah, next Friday. So what time did we decide on?
Oh Lord, we're going to try it at 6 o'clock Mountain Time.
Okay.
Which is 8 o'clock. excuse me, 8 o'clock Eastern. 9 o'clock Atlantic. Yep. Which is 5 o'clock Pacific. I have to work with time zones all the time.
Wow, because you're just like
I have
rambling them off.
It's just crazy. When I have a graph on my MacBook that if I have an interview, I always say, no, tell me what your time is going to be, and I'll tell you, and I'll figure out what my time is, and I'm good from here to here. Your time.
You've got a whole.
And that's how I have a whole graph, so I can never get it wrong. And I have one for Australia. I have one for England. And another one, I forget. I haven't used that one in a while. So there you go. Thanks, guys. Take good care. John Beaudin, Shannon Edwards. I'll give you this so I can.
And we'll see you next Friday.
Yeah, love you guys. Take good care of yourself. Okay,
Bye.
stay safe.